Okay, assessing English language learners. Advantages and challenges of assessing English language learners. For the advantages, one of the great things about the standards that we have here in the state of California is that with these standards, we know what we need to teach. We can teach based off the standards in hopes that our students will be successful when they go in to take their testing, and we can prepare any student to go in and take the testing. Teachers are able to help students with their communication skills and with their language proficiency in hopes that that would help them to do better on these tests. Now, the challenge is that if a student isn't proficient, they might not fully understand what they're taking, so we might be having them take a test based off of they would have results based off of their language and not their knowledge, possibly. And then other challenges, it's just that with such high stake testing and emphasis on attendance, we sometimes aren't able to teach everything that we want to because we're having to follow those standards. So we might lack in certain things that our English language learners need because we simply do not have the time to focus on it. Different types of assessments. There's formative assessments and summative assessments. The formative are those assessments that help us to see the student's progress throughout their learning experience. So we take, and for example, if we have a unit, we might have a couple of quizzes in the unit, and then we might have the big unit test at the end. So those little quizzes in throughout the unit are the formative assessments. Those are the ones that can tell us, okay, this is what we need to continue to teach. This is what the students are understanding. We can move on from this. We need to go back and redirect this. With the summative assessment, that's just assessing that big test at the end, assessing their all-over knowledge once the instruction is complete. Best practices when it comes to assessing English language learners. Really, the best practice is testing them off of what we've taught, okay? We need to test them in an environment that we teach them. We need the classroom for instruction to also feel like the classroom for testing. And that is something that we as teachers have control over when we're working with these standardized tests and we know what the standard is. So we just need to make sure that we're teaching them according to the standards, and because that is what they'll see on the test. My experiences with assessing English language learners, the main two that I work with is formative assessments, because as a special education teacher, I have to be ready to have the data to let any teacher know how their student is doing. For IEPs, they need data, they need feedback, and I have to be ready to give that. So I always have formative assessments every week just to see where the students are, where they've come from, and where they're going. The next thing is the English language learners for special education testing. So we give the Woodcock-Johnson to our students every 3 years. And I recently had a student that was an English language learner, and I told the school psychologist, I said, I really think there's a language barrier here. Yes, he probably will still qualify for special education, but I think there's a language barrier. Sure enough, we tested him in Spanish. He tested much higher, but he still did qualify. But it was good to go through that process and to see how it works.